Vinny Melkus here, Vinny Melkus Fishing. I just did a review. You saw the video prior of the Palo Inferno, but what I really wanted to talk about, I split it up in two videos. As I just got back from the 2019 WON Bass U.S. Open, which is the largest tournament in the West, with some big names. I mean, you name it. Like guys like Aaron Martins was there. Randy Blockett, Mike McClellan, Ish Monroe. There's and then plus your Western sticks. I mean, those guys are Western guys. Besides like Mike McClellan and Randy Blockett, I think they're both from Missouri. But a lot of big Western sticks started out there. Oh, Roy Hawk was there too. Who else? There's a bunch. And then plus all your guys from the Wild West Tour and other one bassers and guys like Justin Kerr, who's a stick on those lakes. But let me tell you what, it's great. That was 254 boats. It was a great event. Smooth. Unlike, I can't remember, it's been about 15, 16 years since I fished a class of tournament like that. And and those were like 150 boats. So for another 100 boats, this is awesome. And I'm going to do it again. So I got to put my deposit down already. But they also have, a Arizona Open and a Clear Lake Open. And then if you fish all three, and they have a $10,000 Angler of the Year prize now coming this year. Not to mention all the other cool prizes within those tournaments. But Billy Egan did an awesome job. He's a great tournament director, super guy. And to put on a show like that, to gather the sponsors, to run the anglers, to make things. If there was any glitches, the anglers did not. I didn't see it. The support staff there, Mercury Trailer, I think Anglers Marine Trailer, which I had issue with a seat. They no charge, helped out. The great dudes. Anyway. I highly recommend it. Even if you don't have a boat, if you're a young guy, if you're 16 and above, to do the AAA side of it, it's great. One, you're going to get to go to these other fisheries, you get exposure to different techniques, and then you might get paired with some great pros and learn something. Learn some stuff about the just etiquette of tournament angling, just as the smallest. Here's the other thing: 250 boats on a lake that's 100 foot below pool or below, it's a capacity there, or when I remember it from 10 plus years ago, on not the main ramp, and somehow that launching and loading procedures was awesome. Everybody helped out. At some places and parts of the country have done it, even on really small tournaments. People get pissed. They get mad at people, and this tournament was great. People were courteous and helped out. Anyway, also there, you learn that you get to be around a bunch of guys that like to do the same thing that you do, which is fish, which is great. So the U.S. Open, WON Bass is back. WON Bass is definitely back from back in the day when they used to have a circuit. To me, they're back with a vengeance, and I'm going to fish them a lot more. I love the Western fisheries. That's going to happen. The second thing that happened when we were out there, which is news behind the scenes with the anglers anyway, FLW, is I wouldn't call it bought out. What happened was MLF went ahead and bought some of the assets, all the assets of this. So there's not really a strict merger. The way it's structured, it sounded like, they were buying assets of FLW. What does that mean to guys like myself? Well, apparently the Costa events, which is where I'd be fishing at, they're going to expand the regions, which I hope that means there's going to be greater presence out west. Regardless, that's why I'm waiting for that schedule to come out, which it should already been out. But since this purchase has happened, I think there's going to be some delays, but it needs to come out soon, so I can plan this next year. But with that being said, hopefully there's more of a presence out west, even if it's just the same presence. I'll be doing that series. Hopefully, if it doesn't. I need to know what they're doing so I can plan my tournaments out, because I also got to work. I'm not a professional angler or anything anymore, so hopefully get to that point. Anyway, but it looks like a great thing, and what it appears to me is this goes into an overall plan for MLF, which they told us in the beginning. Structure. You got the elite of the elite, which is their pro bass tour events, where you see on TV the catch wave release stuff, but they needed a farm program or a stepping stone up there. They didn't have that. They were, I know they were going to try to do that. So instead of creating one from the ground up, they took out FLW. Now that's the skeleton, and they transformed it into a clear path to the top, and that should be a great thing. I mean, to me, I know that there's never going to be a perfect world, especially when you're buying. So there's going to be people that are left out. I know some of the coast anglers this year are going to be left out because of the championship doesn't result in going to an FLW Cup. And the FLW Tour pros are going to be in the FLW circuit, which you can argue that there's a good, probably 10 to 20 guys there that should be in the Bass Pro Tour. They should get those invites. And I can think of a couple right now, like Brian Thrift, who is arguably one of the top anglers in the world, if not the top. The guy is just a stick. Scott Martin's another one that comes to mind, that his name recognition and his ability to perform, he should be at that top level. But now I think these guys are going to be below that and have to qualify for the next one. You can argue there's some other anglers in there too. Those are just the two that came to mind, that even when the invites came out the first time, that you were looking for their names, but they never showed up. Arguably a couple of the better anglers in the world that probably should be fishing against other top anglers in the world. Not to say FLW isn't that way, but if you have a circuit that's marketed as the best, you should have the best. And if those guys didn't get an invite, I don't remember if they did, which I don't believe they did, then there's something going on there. But anyway, I guess they'll have their opportunity to go up, and if they keep those guys, look for them to leave the FLW Tour and go into that MLF. Anyway, it seems interesting. What's on the docket for me, like I was saying, is going to, depends on what the Costa events look like after this asset purchase from MLF. But I'd like to fish the Costas. They kept their presence out west. They're hopefully expanding that presence. That looks good for me. One Bass, all three events. I mean, at least they got the schedule out for the next 3 years. You can kind of plan around that. And the events are run seamlessly, and it looks like it's just getting bigger and better. Billy's Ingden, the tournament director, is doing an awesome job resurrecting One Bass and making it the phoenix out of the ashes. It's coming. It's great. The other thing is I got to do a little work on my boat before then. One thing, if you got a boat, you got to, when you're traveling, even though I haven't been doing a lot of tournaments, I've been traveling. I take this boat from, up my home up north down to Missouri, Arizona, bam, all the way up, Utah and back home. So I've been, it's got a lot of miles on it. So I got to do some tires. I got to, service the Volt hubs. I mean, I know they're, what are they? Sealed inside, but you do have to service them. If you don't, I mean, you're just asking for disaster when it comes to hubs. So I got to do some of that. Also, what I found out there is my trolling motor is pretty much insufficient for other competitors. You can get by. I have a Fortrex, but I'm going to be selling that, and I'm going to be upgrading. And it was interesting. I got a couple choices. Obviously, they got, Motor Guide, Ultrex. You have the Lowrance Ghost and the Garmin Force to choose from. And from a cost basis, you'd look at the Ultrex, but to me, I'm leaning towards the Garmin Force. I'm very impressed with it, and plus being up north, that little wand and some of the features with that, and the extra 3 inches of shaft on just the base model appeal to me for the all-around fisherman. The Ghost is like $100 cheaper for 47-inch shaft, and it has some great features too. And I saw one out there. Ish Monroe had it on his boat. Sorry, Ish Monroe had it on his boat, and it looked like it was a force to be reckoned with for sure. The Garmin Force, though, from what I've seen, which I haven't got to see one in real life. I saw pretty much all the videos that you've seen on it, but that looks like the way to go. And I'm kind of shifting towards Garmin electronics, even though right now running Lowrance, I don't have plans on changing that at the moment, but I'd like to be prepared to do so. So I'm probably going to do that within the next month or two, but that's a huge purchase. So that whenever I spend money, it takes me a while, because I've had a lot of times in my life where I didn't have any, and now if I have the opportunity to spend the money, it's really tough. It's even tough for me to put the deposits down on the tournaments that I love, because in the back of my mind, it's hard for me just to click the button and go, okay, you're in. But anyway, I'm going to keep this keep these at 10 minutes or so. But interesting tournament world coming up. Like I said, if you live out west, One Bass, even if you don't live out west, One Bass is a tournament organization and it's shared weight format, so it's awesome. So you're on the same team. You're not opposed to the pro that you're fishing with or the AAA or the non-boater. You guys are working as a team on the One Bass formats, which is awesome. And I if you ever talk to anybody that's fishing me, I'm almost too friendly. I mean, I almost put it almost like a guide hand. I feel bad if we don't catch fish, and I try to put you on fish as well, which is probably to the detriment of myself. Not that, but anyway, it's great to be on the same team as opposed to some of these other formats where you're not necessarily against each other because you're in different divisions, but at the same time, it's like, man, he's sticking them, and those fish don't count for me, and he's on my spot or whatever. But so One Bass, if you're just getting into it, is a great organization, even if you have to travel. So check them out. Yeah, stay tuned for the Costa events, and then of course we'll see what Bass's response is to MLF taking FLW, because it's a kind of a shot over the bow, and Bass has kind of left us Western anglers kind of to dry. No, I mean, I've looked at it feasibility wise, the opens, it's just not in the cards for a guy like myself, whereas the Costas and the way it looks like Boyd Duck is taking this organization is more aligned to a Western angler's abilities, or not fishing wise, but abilities financially and the travel aspect of it. Anyway, subscribe, keep it up. I'll try to get some on the water footage. I didn't do anything on the U.S. Open. I was more in particular, which I didn't even get into. So I was on the fish that they won. I was in that area. What happened was I was there, found those fish on practice, or found a lot of fish around there. And keepers, like 2 to, one, anywhere from 1 3/4 to 2.5 pounders. I had them. I got drawn 250 first boat out of 254. Get there, there's 4 boats on one of my primary school. Fish around, I think we caught 1 or something. Go back in there. They've been worked over. I watched people plucking some of these fish off. Went and caught another one, and then my confidence kind of shattered, which is since I haven't tournament fished in such a long time, which I should have known better, and just stuck. I spent so many hours of practice developing this pattern and finding it, and I abandoned the second day. I told my co-angler, I was like, we're going to roll the dice, because I was down and standing, but if I'd have stuck with that, I'd have easily climbed up. I'm positive of it. Anyway, rolled the dice, went the exact opposite way to a place where I knew there was largemouth. And there was a lot of largemouth. I ended up catching 1 keeper smallmouth, and then just slayed a bunch of 10 to 12 inch largemouth, like 60 plus. They're all over the place. It was like a nursery. It was like there was a stocking or something. But it was incredibly fun if it wasn't, for such big money. Caught a lot of fish. So then the third day, we ran to another area that I know of that lake, immediately stick about a 2-pounder largemouth and fish around there. And then I was like, man, you know what? I could go to this other area, but I don't. I'm gonna go back to that nursery. Don't ask me why. Go over there, do the same damn thing, catch a bunch of 10 to 12 inchers, and can't find a keeper. Some more of the story is I've invested so much time in practice. I eliminated all those waters. I was there in that nursery in practice and caught little ones. I left it. Went to my spot and this is where the tournament was won, in the same coves. Anyway, found good fish and was able to catch them. And I just went there on day 1, and I was discouraged by the amount of boats. But the way I fish, I shouldn't have been discouraged. I should have battled it out and did what I had to do, because other people were just going to be scrambling, and I did. And I know better now. And that's the level of inexperience. It's been so many years since I've done a tournament this size that I shouldn't have made that decision. It literally cost me the tournament, or at least getting a check. It cost me everything. But live and learn. Every time you do something, you got to take away, and that's what my takeaway anyway. Went way past over what I was trying to do. Anyway, like, subscribe, and follow. Talk to you later.